All right, this is your first paper you need to complete, preparing for factoring trinomials. On this paper, all of your examples, if you read through them, what you're doing is you are finding two numbers. Okay, you need to find two numbers. Those two numbers have to multiply to get a certain number, and those two numbers have to add to get another number. Okay, so I'm going to go through a couple of examples. You watch as many examples as you need to. So if I do one and you understand what to do, you can just move on. If after one you're still a little confused, I will go through another one, and you can watch that. And I'll go through a third one if you need it. Okay, then if you have issues, you can just rewatch this video. Okay, I'm going to go through three examples. You watch 1, 2, or 3, depending on how many examples you need. Okay, you do not have to watch the whole video. You have to watch it until you understand. Okay, so we need to find two numbers. Those two numbers, we're going to start with the multiplying part. They need to multiply to be 36. There are a lot fewer numbers that multiply to get whatever you're looking for than there are to add to get your other number. So you're always going to start with trying to find your multiplying number. So we're trying to multiply to be 36. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to put 36, and I'm going to make a table. And I'm going to list all the numbers that multiply to be 36. Okay? I'm also looking for those two numbers to add up to be 13. Okay, so once I get my two numbers, I'm going to see if they also add to be 13. So if you already know, some of you might already know what two numbers multiply to be 36 and add to be 13. But if you don't, what I would recommend is you make this little T-chart. And then if you don't know all of the multiples of 36, you're going to get a calculator. Okay, and you're going to type in your calculator. You're going to open up Desmos and type in Desmos. So you are always going to start with 1 times your number. 1 times 36 is 36. Now I'm going to check to see, do those two numbers, if I add them, give me 13. 1 plus 36. No, that's 37. So those numbers don't work. Now I'm going to move on to 2. First, I need to know, is 36 divisible by 2? Can I do 2 times something to give me 36? If you don't know the answer to that question, this is where your calculator is going to come in handy. You're going to get a calculator and do 36 divided by 2. If you get a whole number, then you're going to write those two numbers down, 2 and the number you get. If you get a decimal, you're going to skip them. 2 wouldn't work. Move on to 3. So 36 divided by 2, you should get 18. So 2 times 18 gives me 36. Now I'm going to check to see if it adds to be 13. 2 plus 18, that's 20. So no. Now I'm going to move on to 3. Same thing, if you don't know if 36 is divisible by 3, if 3 times something gives you 36, get your calculator. 36 divided by 3. If you get a whole number, it goes here. If you get a decimal, you don't write either of them down because that would mean 36 is not divisible by 3. Okay, so 36 divided by 3. You should get 12. 36 is divisible by 3, gets 12. So 3 times 12 is 36. Now I'm going to check to see if it adds to be 13. 3 plus 12. That gives me 15. So I'm getting closer, but still no. Now I'm going to move on and try 4. So same thing. If you don't know, get a calculator. Open up Desmos. 36 divided by 4. If you get a whole number, it goes here. If you get a decimal, you don't write them down because 36 is not divisible by 4. So 36 divided by 4, you should get 9. 4 times 9 is 36. Now I'm going to check to see my adding. 4 plus 9. That does, in fact, give me 13. So the answer to this question, find two numbers that multiply to get 36 and add to be 13. My two numbers are 4 and 9. There's your answer, number 1. Okay, let's move on to number 2. I would recommend, even if you kind of pretty much understand what you're doing, you might want to watch this because this one has a negative. Okay, it might be useful for you to know how to deal with negatives, but if you understand and you're good and you don't need to deal with the negatives, you can just move on to your examples. Otherwise, watch this video. So same thing, I'm going to look for two numbers. I want to focus on what I need to multiply to be. I need to multiply to be a -3. So I'm going to come over here and make my little t-chart to be -3. My two numbers need to multiply to be -3 and add to be 2. So remember, we always start with 1 times the number. So I'm going to do 1 and 3. But 1 times 3 is +3. I need a -3. So let's think for a moment what that means. If I have 2 positives, but I needed a negative, that means I need at least 1 negative, maybe 2. So do I need 1 or do I need 2? Is a positive times a negative, or a negative times a negative, a negative? You should say you need 1 negative. So if you know which one should be positive and which one should be negative, you just go with it. But if you don't know, you're going to try both ways. Let's start with making the 1 negative. -1 times +3 is -3. Now I need it to add to be +2. -1 plus 3 gives me +2. There's my answer. If you tried 1 and -3, they multiply to be -3, but 1 minus 3 is -2, so those don't work. -1 and 3. Those are your numbers. Okay? If you feel like you're good to this point, you can stop the video and continue on. You only need to finish up the odd problems, only the odds. If you still need some more help, I'm going to go through one more example that you can watch. So, find two numbers, multiply to be 70. Make my little t-chart. Multiply to be 70. They also need to add to be 17. So, once again, we always start with 1 and that number. 1 times 70 is 70. Now I'm going to check my addition. 1 plus 70, not 17, gives me 71. Doesn't work. Now check for 2. Once again, if you don't know, you're going to get a calculator. You're going to do 70 divided by 2. If you get a whole number, you write it down. And if you get a decimal, you don't write them down. So 70 divided by 2, you should have gotten 35. 2 times 35 is 70. Now I'm going to check my addition. 2 plus 35 is 37. I need 17. Doesn't work. Now I'm going to check 3. 70 divided by 3. If you get a whole number, you write it down. If you get a decimal, you do not. You should have gotten a decimal. So I'm not going to write it down. I'm going to skip to 4. Same thing, 70 divided by 4. If you don't know, you get a calculator. If it's a whole number, you write it down. If it's a decimal, you don't. 70 divided by 4. You should have gotten a decimal. I'm going to skip it. I'm going to move on. 70, and I'm going to try 5. 70 divided by 5. If you don't know it, get a calculator or Desmos. You should have gotten 14. 5 times 14 is 70. Now I'm going to check my addition. 5 plus 14 is 19. I need 17, so I'm getting closer, but no. Now I'm going to check 6. 70 divided by 6. Pause the video each time. Go check it. 70 divided by 6. Pause it. Go check. Should have gotten a decimal, so no. Now I'm going to try divide by 7. Pause the video. Go check if you need to. If you don't know if 70 is divisible by 7, pause the video, type it in Desmos or in your calculator. You hopefully got a whole number. Should have gotten 10. 7 times 10 is 70. Now I'm going to check my addition. 7 plus 10 is 17. And that's what I needed. So your two answers should be 7 and 10. Okay? Those are the last examples I'm going to go through. You need to now go through the rest of the odd problems. 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13. When you're done, go check them with the key. Make sure you have the right answers.